I don't know if I'm going to upload this video or not, but this video is for my hero, my rock, my angel who made me become who I am, and also you who are listening to me. Either if you have a father still around or if he is still not there anymore, I want to share you some of my experience of what I'm going through and what I've learned, so you don't make the same mistakes like me. You know, my channel, I always make videos that are like happy, positive, and like healthy and all that, but these are times that I go through too. They just come in waves. Like, it's really unexpected sometimes. If you have been following me maybe on Instagram or not, maybe you know that my father left the world. He passed away last year. Of course, I could not believe that that was what happened, and the cycles are a little smoother in that I don't, cry as much often as now, but when it does, like, it just comes so unexpectedly. Sometimes you remember the person while driving, sometimes like while you're cooking, it just comes in like. And today was one of those days, of course, because it's Father's Day. I'm so happy for you who have their father around to celebrate with them, to tell them how much you love them. But mine is in heaven. He is so far away. First, I want to tell you about what happened to my father. So, starting off, okay, a long time ago, he grew up extremely poor. Like, we were in Myanmar, and he's just like poor in that he lived in a hut, and every time he had to go to school, before he goes to school, he helps his grandmother like sell, and they would walk around the streets and they would shout, you know, be like selling. That's how people sell back there. Like, hey, this snack, anybody wants to buy it. Like, he struggled so much, and he told me that like he valued the school so much. Like, he loved learning. He wanted to be an engineer when he grew up, but because of his family situation, he could not. He was so good at art too, but he could not pursue any of those dreams because his family was struggling so much financially, and his father was an alcoholic and he was gambling. So my dad, he got really embarrassed. He got into the military. Like, his whole life was just like struggling. Us growing up, he always had huge visions for us that, he didn't want us to end up like him. Like, he wanted us to pursue our dreams, whatever it is. He wanted to give us a chance for that. And my father, so what he did was he sent us to an expensive private school that only like 1% of the population in Myanmar could afford. It's not like my father was rich either. He struggled so much financially like all his life, and just to send us to that school, he saved up a lot. He worked so hard. Sometimes he would skip so many meals. Sometimes he sleeps very little, like he sleeps like 2 hours in a day, and he just like works so hard. And I would see very little of him when I was young because he's just out and about just working so many jobs. So when I grew up, I was kind of like embarrassed, or I don't know what, but I was this kid who wanted to get over all that, always looking for what's next. I wanted to grow up. Dad, he wanted us to go to the US because he wanted us to not live in Myanmar because people just struggle there a lot, and we know that like America is like a land of opportunities. So I mean, I wanted to somehow be on my own and just change things when they were back then. I was kind of embarrassed about my family that they were poor at school because everyone around me was rich kids, which was me stupid back then. But then of course I grew up. I tried very hard at school because my dad told me that anything is achievable, like if you want it so bad, and if you just work hard day and night every single day, then what you dream will happen. So he ingrained that mindset in me, and whenever I excelled in school, he was always super proud of me. But anyways, fast forward, we found out he had a stroke one day, and I actually didn't even know what stroke meant. Like, I was that dumb of a kid in school. Even though I was a straight A student, like, I had very little biology knowledge. And even after that, I didn't know the health aspects of it. You know, I just kind of lived oblivious. After he had stroke, he could no longer work, and so we had to sell the business that he had been working for the whole past decade, so that my brother and I, we could leave the country and go to the US to go to college here. And so that's what he did. He sold all the business so that we could pay for college. And then I left Myanmar, and I found out that later he had more and more diseases. He had diabetes too, and he also had hepatitis. But back then, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just got into health and fitness, and I wanted to help him so much, but I somehow did not. Maybe I just didn't try hard enough, I think. And so he just passed away with all those diseases. And only later I really found out that with, you know, exercise and nutrition, which is what all my channel and what I do most of the time as an online trainer and as an exercise science PhD student, everything that I'm learning, it's to help people like him who are in bed, whose purpose of life are taken away because of their health, because his health was no longer there, and maybe because, you know, his children are no longer with him anymore. He kind of felt like he had no point in living. At that time, there was no point for him to live another day because he just doesn't want to go through the pain that he has to go through every day. And I think the reason why he passed away was, one of them was because he just gave up. Like, he just doesn't want to live anymore. So some of the things that I want to tell you for Father's Day is, you may be thinking that your father, your parent, you know, it may feel like they're gonna be here forever. You may be taking them for granted. So if they're still here around you, make sure to tell them that at least, you know, once a week, that tell them that you love them and call them. Sometimes, especially when they're so far away, like me and my dad is halfway across the world. He is just left so alone. He felt lonely. His kids were not around him anymore. He just had the betrayal of his life. He went through this. It's kind of like a personal family story. Parents will feel like there is no hope. There is nothing to live for. But if you call them, at least they will have something to look forward to. And also, if they are not into health, like maybe introduce them, you know, go take a walk outside with them, or encourage them into health and fitness. and just eating healthy so your family could live very happily together for a long time. That is what I wish for every other person. I want to contribute to that part where families live healthily together. And that is why I make videos about I got into health and fitness, and I want to help other people be healthier too. And another thing I want to say is that live in the now, because as I look back then, I wasn't living in the now. I wanted to change things up so much. I wasn't embracing the fact that I was living with my family, living with my mom and dad. My mom and dad was there around with me. I wasn't embracing that fact. But now when I look back, things don't last forever. Everything that you get to experience, everything is in the now. Don't look so much into the future. It's good to have goals, but you gotta love the future. The future moment has a special present for you that you can't get it back anymore. So I want you to embrace this day, this very moment. And I also want you to feel like super grateful right now, because the fact that when you're watching, maybe people who watch me mostly are in the US, so things are a lot different, even a lot better than so many countries in the world. Like, even if you make $2 a day, I know that statistic that said even if you make $2 a day, you are like in the 75% of the world's population. We just have a lot to be thankful for, and go tell that person that you love them. Like, don't wait for another day. Back then, for me, I always wanted to give him like a really cool present, but every time I wanted to, he would always say, my father would be like, oh no, save up your money, daughter, like I don't need anything from you. Parents are like that kind of people. Like, they put you up first more than themselves. So I mean, even if they say that, do something for them. Do something for them. Doesn't even have to be an expensive gift. So that is what I want to say to everyone. For people like, we don't even know what tomorrow will bring. If your parents would still be around tomorrow, we don't know. So just embrace this present moment and be grateful, thankful, tell them people that you love them, because those are one of the most life's precious gifts. That is what makes life meaningful. It's good to have goals, like it's too good to be wealthy and all that, but right now, like, I would do anything just to get my dad back. Like, even if it's just 5 minutes of my time with him, like, it's just that precious. So you won't know it until you lose it. Okay, so yeah, that is what I have to say for today, and thank you for watching it. I hope you learned something out of it, and yeah, I will see you on whenever I feel like uploading.